Pressure is mounting on the Prime Minister to break his silence on the Supreme Court's landmark gender ruling, with Labour MPs being accused of plotting to circumvent the judgment in leaked WhatsApp messages. Now, this might seem like an old story, but it's not. There's lots more legs to this one. Over the weekend, thousands of trans and non-binary people, trans right activists and, the usual suspect, gathered for an emergency demonstration to march in protest against the Supreme Court's decision. Now, this all kicked off because it ended up, as you can see there, from, I think it's Kemi Badenoch's tweet. No, that's the Amnesty International tweet, yeah. It all kicked off where statues were vandalised, feminist campaigners were pro-protesters were attacked, and lots of really, really nasty placard. That was the Amnesty International tweet you saw there, right? Trans rights are human rights. So let's have a look at some of the others, shall we?
What exactly do you want?
Trans women are women.
Do you want trans women in single-sex spaces? Is that what it is?
I think they should be wherever they want to be.
Exactly.
The new legislations saying that trans women aren't women are diabolical, so I'm just here to basically say that we're not going to take that.
I support everyone's right to live, yeah. I don't know, I think it's just important to be open-minded,
Yeah, OK, fine, whatever. Now, the annoying thing with this story, right, is all these protesters, they were defacing statues, particularly Millicent Fawcett, a well-known suffrage campaigner. And I don't know why people who think they're women would do that, deface a feminist statue, because if you think you're a woman, she should be a heroine to you. But I digress. Also very, very aggressive. And it's now been 5-6 days since this decision was made. And our Prime Minister, who, remember, is a human rights lawyer by training, hasn't said a word. And I've found some of the placards particularly offensive on this. Burn witches at the stake, kill J.K. Rowling, and lots of stuff I can't even possibly repeat.
Us blokes hate talking about a little thinning up top, and many of us settle with that balding look, but that wasn't for me, and that's why I went to Elite Hair, the world's leading hair loss clinic, and now I've had over 4,000 new hairs added to this barnet, and very soon I'm going to be rocking some brand new flowing locks. And you can too! So how does it work? Step 1, I sent the team a set of photos of my head. Step 2, I then spoke to one of the Elite Hair staff who looked through my photo submissions and worked out a treatment plan for me. Step 3, Elite Hair then organised accommodation and the treatment. I was at their state-of-the-art treatment centre in Istanbul, and their incredibly kind staff took me through the process, and before I knew it, I was in surgery. Elite Hair and their leading medical experts have specialised in pain-free treatments using the Sleep Deep method, and they really mean that. I felt incredibly relaxed the whole time, and I haven't felt any pain since. Check out Elite Hair using the link in the description. When you do, Elite Hair will provide you with a free personalised hair analysis. Then you'll join over 100,000 happy patients. Hit that link and start your hair growth journey like I did today.
What do you think of this, Andy? Should our Prime Minister, it's an important legal ruling, it doesn't actually change anything, but it is an important legal ruling, should he actually say something?
Of course, Dawn, of course he should say something. He's hiding, but I didn't know that the placards were saying such repulsive things. I mean, goodness, we have to hope that there are several arrests super fast to show this fairness and integrity in the whole system. So let's hope that happens. But he's hiding because he doesn't know what to say. Keir Starmer says what wins him support, either from his parliamentary colleagues or the general public. And he's got a problem, because the rump of his support feels one way about trans issues, the general public feels another. So expect him to continue to hide, expect him to say nothing, but let's drag him out of Downing Street and get him to say something.
But Ben, I mean, when we had the story over the weekend that many prominent members of his party and indeed his cabinet are not happy with his decision and having a meeting to try and find ways to stop it happening, basically, he has to come and say something. He has to lay the land out for what's going to happen and how it's going to come into effect. So far, women are going, well, what are you going to do about it? What's happening?
Yeah, well, I think Andy's absolutely right. The reason he's not coming out is because he's caught between a rock and a hard place. But this is symptomatic. His lack of preparedness to back the Supreme Court ruling and to be, sensible in the face of the overwhelming evidence of what a woman is down to political expediency. And I think this country absolutely is crying out for common sense in high office. And it shouldn't even have taken a Supreme Court ruling to tell us that a biological woman is a biological woman.
I've known it for 60 years.
I know.
I knew it the
minute I found women attractive, the girls attractive, I knew exactly what a woman was.
And they didn't have penises, did they?
No, they certainly didn't. And I would have been shocked if they had. And so let's just remind ourselves what transgender is, you know, what fundamentally it is. It's a mental health issue. It's gender dysphoria. It's a recognised mental health issue. People who suffer it deserve compassion. They deserve support. They deserve not to be prejudiced against. But that doesn't, men who identify as women and women who identify as men, doesn't make them one or the other. They are what they were born. It's very sad, but as a society, as a country, and Western civilization, we touched on this a bit with the Pope in the last session. This is liberalism gone mad. Western civilization is killing itself on the back of liberalism. So that if you want to identify as a woman or a cat or a dog or whatever it is you wish to do, you should have the right to do it. And we've allowed common sense, as I say, to be hijacked by ideology. And it's a very sad reflection on the state of the country that it takes a Supreme Court ruling, complete waste of taxpayers' money apart from anything else, to tell us what we should all patently know.
I mean, the other line, actually, I'm going to bring to you in on the other line on this one, Andy. The Metropolitan Police put out an appeal today for any witnesses who had seen the statues being defaced, OK? Fine, lovely. But they didn't appeal for witnesses to people quite clearly holding these signs up, inciting violence against women. Now, we saw in the Southport riot, there was one lady there who was charged with inciting racial violence. She's been banged up for 3 years nearly. Why are we not? Why are the police not appealing for these people inciting violence against women?
Everyone who incites violence should face the law, regardless of where it happens, who it is, and the police should always act fairly, of course. I think what's really interesting here, actually, is that the Supreme Court's ruling wasn't actually about whether trans is OK, whether it's fine, whether it's not fine. It was actually about a legal definition of a woman.
It didn't actually change anything, did it?
It didn't change it. All of the issues that everybody gets very tense about, like safe spaces or competing in sports events, they weren't a matter of the law. That was our society deciding to act a certain way. It was about bosses and organisations being timid, being bullied and being cowardly. So I don't know if this law is really going to change much. It seems to have empowered some people. It might create a greater kickback and more bullying, I don't know. What's really clear, though, is that anybody brandishing placards, talking about death, should be arrested on the spot. And we need the police to act swiftly, drag them out of the crowd and get them down the station, not look into it for 3 months.
But this is where...
two-tier policing again?
This is two-tier policing. And to be fair to the police, and indeed every institution in this country, every education establishment, public services, armed forces, and everything, every single entity in this country is required through regulation and through legislation to practice diversity, equity and inclusion, which is progressive discrimination in favour of ethnic minorities, minority religious beliefs and also transgender ideology. So the police have been drilled into two-tier policing. We even had, I'm digressing, but it's absolutely on point, the Sentencing Council the other day saying that we should take into account the ethnicity and backgrounds of people when it comes to sentencing them. We have a two-tier criminal justice system. So when you see white, middle-class heterosexual men complaining about illegal migrants, they're classified as far right. We have the Prime Minister directing the full force of the police and criminal justice system against them, directing the criminal justice system to arrest, detain and incarcerate these people. But when it comes to the opposite side, the protected status of these minorities, whatever their minority status is, they're let off the hook.
It just doesn't seem fair to women. All this didn't take any away trans rights, by the way. The trans people, the trans community, as we have to call them. I don't know what community is either, but there we are. They still have the rights. It didn't take anything away. It just confirmed that women are biological women and they do have a right to safe spaces. That's all it said, which was already there in any case.
Absolutely. Can I actually just step in and defend the police? Not because of the policies, but because the coppers do a really difficult job.
The frontline coppers do.
They work so hard. And even
the
people at the top work really hard. But it's society that has done this to us. It isn't the police. It's not a police state. Society has decided to move a certain way, and timidly, too many of us have kept quiet, and the police are acting on wishes.
Why do we keep quiet, Andy? Why do we keep quiet? Why is our Prime Minister, who still believes that 99.9% of people like me have penises...
There was a culture where you would be bullied, where you would be harangued, you would be called a racist or a something-a-phobe or something nasty.
A transphobe.
And it was horrible. It was horrible.
Worse.
And it was horrible. And it remains horrible. So people are scared to stand up and speak out.
Well, we're standing up here and, well, what do you think? gbnews.com/your say. Let me know. I can hazard a guess what many of you are thinking.